Hi, this is Gretchen Dade, and I'm giving you my information speech on canning food, and I'm going to give you a shot of everybody that's here to listen. This is their incognito debut. So here is my husband Ryan over here in the chair, sitting with the baby because we don't want her yapping in it. My son Jeremiah, my mother, who's here from Seattle, and my father, who's also in a company with her from Seattle, and the girls, Aubrey and Chasen, and my son Liam. Say hi, Liam. So hopefully he will be good during this whole thing. So let's put this back on here and adjust the camera really quick. So bear with me really quick. There, maybe. Hang on. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so like I said, we're here today so that we all can learn through this informational product about how to can vegetables, which is really advantageous if you guys are going to be growing a garden throughout the summer or you're aspiring to be a farmer or a gardener. And one of the big things at the end of the season is having too many vegetables or fruits left over, and then they spoil, and you're not really getting the most value out of what you have sowed the entire summer for your summer and fall harvest. So tonight we're going to be actually canning tomatoes, and we chose to do Roma tomatoes because they're the most beefy of the tomatoes, so you don't get a lot of fluid left over whenever you're canning them. So here is what a Roma tomato looks like. As if you can see, it's very thick, it's hearty, and like I said, there's not a lot of moisture that comes along with these. So this is the kind of tomato that we'll be canning this evening. The first thing that you want to do is you want to either pick, or I don't know why you'd go out and buy them unless you were getting like a really good deal on them. But you want to get a whole bunch of Roma tomatoes, and the first thing that you're going to do is make sure also that you have all your supplies ready for you. Some of the things that you're going to need is canning jars and lids. And you're going to have to use new lids every single time that you do this because there's a wax rim on the outside of them. And every time that you're going to open your cans, that wax is depleted and therefore they're no longer in use. So I'm sure that people have gotten jellies or whatever for gifts or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to reuse this, but you can't get quality seal on those, so I suggest that you just get rid of them and get new ones each time you can. Okay, so you're going to get canning jars and lids. Of course, I have my Roma tomatoes, a canning pot, which I have over here. You probably can't see, but you can get those at your hardware stores or any kind of Jack's Mercantile, or I got mine at Ace Hardware, but there's lots of places that carry those. You got your tongs, which help you lift your jars in and out of the hot boiling water. Suggest those. Those are very important. You have your funnel, and this makes the canning process a lot more simpler. Otherwise, you make a horrible mess, especially if you're canning corn. I will tell you that you love these funnels. And you have your magnetic knife, okay? Now this helps to get the air out of inside the jar, and then you have a magnet on the other end because you want to get your lids and your rims out of hot boiling water to make sure that they have been sterilized properly. And so they're hot, and so this helps you get them out. You also want to sterilize your jars before you start this process because nobody wants bacteria, in their freshly canned produce. Nobody is going to enjoy any kind of botulism or salmonella. So let's make sure that we sterilize those. And you do that in your canning pot. You just put hot water in there and boil them for an hour. Make sure that they're nice and sterilized and you're good to go. So let's digress a little bit. Again, we're going to be canning Roma tomatoes. So what I do is in the very top of your tomato, you just take a paring knife or any kind of knife and you make a little cross slit in them, like a little, X. X marks a spot. Okay, and the reason that you do this is because it makes them easy to peel. Now, you can can tomatoes with the peels on. However, I suggest that you don't do that because they're not easy to digest and they're not easy to puree. So you're going to have like these really awkward, thick, skins in your canning, or if you're using them to do spaghetti sauce or tomato soup. you definitely want to make sure that you take the skins off. And the way that you do that is you just scour them like this, and you're going to just put them in a pot of boiling water for 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes, the skins will start to peel. And I have one here for you for an example, since we're not going to be doing that this evening, being that we've already pre-prepared everything that we're going to can. So if you look at this, all these skins are starting to come off. We've boiled that for 5 minutes already, and they're already prepared to peel. And it's very easy, so you guys can pass that around if you want to, so you can see what that looks like. And it's kind of a fun process. Okay, so once we have scoured our tomatoes and we have taken and peeled off all of the skins, you are left with a whole bunch of tomatoes that need to be canned, which is a very simple process. So let me just walk around here and I'll show you how to do that. So I have my jar here that's equipped with my funnel, okay? And you're just going to take these and you are going to put as many as you possibly can inside of your jar. Now, most people, like if you see infomercials on YouTube or whatever, they will stop the canning process. Here, Liam, if you want to see. Halfway through, and salt the tomatoes because they're very acidic. However, if you're an organic canner, you don't want to add anything else to this. You just sort of want them to come to light on their own, and I've never seen a problem with not salting the product. I would rather salt it as I cook it. Okay, so you're just going to get all of these in here. You're going to find that you run out of room, and you're just going to shove them all down in there. We're going to get them all in. Okay, might make a little bit of a mess, but like if you've ever gotten tomatoes from your local grocer and they're really packed in there tight, like really, really tight. So we're just going to peel this one really quick so that we can get that one in there too. We don't want it to be lonely. We want it to be with all of its friends, considering it's the last one that we have here. Okay, and just give it a good push, okay? Then you're going to want to leave the top rim of this open for your air to escape. Because the whole thing about the canning process is you can can anything, I've learned. You can can meat sauces for spaghetti, chicken noodle soup, stuff that you would think that would spoil. But the whole idea behind it is you're taking out the air, therefore preserving whatever's in the jar. And actually, where really quick, you're going to take your little magnetic knife, thank you, Jeremiah, and you're just going to shove it down in here and get all that extra air out in between all of these tomatoes. Give it a little shove down and stab it a little and get all that air out. So interesting facts about how canning actually got started. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but does anybody know where canning got started? Come on, Liam, you probably don't. Actually, it got started back with Napoleon. And, you know, he was this big war general, and they were looking for reasonable methods to keep people, you know, fed and hydrated while they were out, you know, fighting wars for their countries or whatnot. And so he came up actually with the canning process, and that's how it started, and they really utilized it the most during wars. So you'll find it really prevalent. Like if you've ever done research on it, you'll see that it's really prevalent through those times of war. And I thought that it was really interesting that Napoleon actually came up with this. You know, he wasn't just, you know, a genius, you know, war hero, or I guess he wasn't really a hero, but, you know, he was the war guy, but he had lots of other assets as well and attributes to add to that. So that's kind of an interesting fact on it. But it actually became very, very popular, the canning method during times of economic struggle, because people would grow their own food. Definitely during the, what am I looking for, the word? The Great Depression. It became very popular during that time because people didn't have any other means but to grow their own food and can it, so they would have enough food to last them through the winter, and it was very, you know, economically advantageous for them to do so. So that's where it really got its kick and where it became really, really popular. So as you can see, we got all of our tomatoes in there. It looks really, really pretty. They're mashed down really good. I got my inch of air on top. Now you're going to take your magnetic knife, and in this pot I have my top that I have already pre-boiled, and you just stick it on there like that, okay? And then you get your lid, and you put it on there like this, and you're going to make sure, oh, oops, I almost forgot one very, very important thing. Very, very important. Make sure that your rims don't have any nicks, and give it a little wipe down, because you don't want any food or particles that are going to keep your seal from adhering, because then you just wasted a whole bunch of time making this happen, only for your food to be spoiled and this not to be airtight whenever you go to pull it and use it, okay? So you're going to put on your lid and your rim, and you're only going to do a housewife tighten, is what you call it, okay? You're not going to get it really down in there. You're just going to give it a little tighten, and that's actually good to go into your canning pot. And all you do is you bring it over, and you're going to stick it down in your canning pot. And my canning pot holds 8 jars. So you can prepare 8 jars and stick them all in here randomly. But you're going to put it in here, make sure that you have about an inch of water below the rim, or I'm sorry, above the rim, to make sure that it's completely covered in water. So I am going to add a little bit of water to mine, because it's not quite where it needs to be. So we're going to add a little bit. And then you're going to put it in the water before it boils. And you're going to turn your water or your pot onto high. And you're going to boil it for an hour and 20 minutes. Okay? And as soon as you've boiled it for an hour and 20 minutes, you can pull them out. And you'll usually see the contents in your jar boiling. You might hear it fizzing a little as well, and that's all the air coming out of your tomatoes or whatever you're canning, and that means that you're getting an airtight seal on it, and that's exactly what you want to preserve that food. So that is a very simple process. It takes you no time at all to be able to prepare your canning process and have a whole storeroom full of your own fresh, quality, prepared fruits and vegetables that are organically grown by you personally, which gives major health benefits. And your family will be happy that you cared enough to take the time to feed them good, wholesome food. Also, for your supplies, you can get them in kits such as this. This is my kit, and they usually come with all your supplies that you need, timers, funnels, your fancy little magnetic knife, everything that you need in one kit, or you can buy them individually. So, but it's more advantageous and cost effective if you buy it in a big kit, okay? So fairly easy, simple process, and I'm glad that you all took the time to listen on how to can your own tomatoes. It's the same process for anything else that you can. So if you want to make spaghetti meat sauce, make spaghetti meat sauce, can it. If you want to make corn, take the corn off your cob, that's always a fun one and it makes a ton. By all means, make your own corn. So now that you've learned how to can your own food and see what a simple process it is, hopefully you'll use it in the future, and you'll stop buying the processed stuff in the stores that are horrible for you and you don't know where it came from. So anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and hopefully you got something out of it. Okay, and then I have to survey the room again. So once again, there's my husband and the baby, which was good the entire time. Son, mother from Seattle, father from Seattle, daughters, and Liam that tried his best to be really, really good. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.